We've seen Manchester City do the business tonight at Old Trafford, and I've got to say it was rather comfortable, Nick.
Yeah, it was, yeah. I mean, that's what City are like. That's like a training ground game for them. You know what they're going to do. They're not going to change. If anything, they just needed to get that first goal, which was unfortunate in the first half when Kevin De Bruyne hit the post. But that is what City do. They keep the ball, they keep pressing. I thought maybe they would bring Aguero or Jesus on. They didn't have to do that, and it ended up being quite comfortable for them. But I just think you look at the scenes at the end, and does it mean anything to Manchester City? Of course it does. Does it mean anything to Guardiola, to the team, the players? Diaz, the performance tonight, him and Stones, I tell you what a player they've got there, you know, and it's that togetherness, and you feel it's coming now. It's a good result. I thought Manchester United a little bit lost with Manchester United. It's a difficult when you're playing against Manchester City, but you still expect a lot more, and they should be full of confidence at the moment, obviously, because they're in the title race now as well. So,
but the few question marks today for Manchester United's defence, for the first goal in particular.
Yes, today was a bit hard just to find spaces, just to defend well. Very commanding performance from Man City, and yes, they should have done better on the free kicks. You know, there was too much spaces, and yeah, it was a great ball. You know, just between the goalkeeper and the defenders. That's really hard just to defend, but still they should have started maybe 1 yard away just to be before Stone. So it's a slight mistake, but was very important. Yeah.
I want to see that goal, because I mean it's gone straight through, Nick, into the 6-yard box, beating 4 United players, including Harry Maguire. That should not be happening.
You know, what we're looking at here now, and I think it started off with Liverpool, they have this high line. And if you watch it at the start, they're supposed to stay in the high line. All of a sudden they drop back. Once you drop back then, you know, and you deliver the ball, it should be quite easy to deliver it just in front of the penalty spot, which they do. Once you break that line, then it's very difficult to defend if the ball's perfect, because you're going back towards your goal. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to stay on that rigid line, and you're not supposed to worry about any of the players trying to get into the area, and that's what they did. As soon as they dropped then, that played Manchester City on. It was about the ball coming in. It was difficult to defend from then.
Yeah, difficult to defend, but surely a team of Manchester United's quality should be dealing with balls like that.
Yes, of course. You know, they were a little bit slow. You can see it. You know, they just keep the high line. You know, not to be in the 5 yards line. So I can understand that, but after, when you start, you have to be quicker than the opponent. You have to arrive before them, and that was the case of Man City. It's just simple as that, you know. You're on the same line, you know, and then you have to be at least, you know, 1 yard in front of Stone and Ruben Diaz, and they were the quickest, you know, just to go in front of Maguire. So that's a slight mistake, but this is a high-level football, and just the concentration. Sometimes it's details, and they were more aggressive. You know, they started earlier, they ran, and they arrived earlier. Yeah.
I just looked at Maguire there, and you look at him for the 2 goals. He's not marking anybody. You know, he's got to be vocal. He's got to be leading the defence. You look at him in the both goals. He just stood there, and the ball goes past him. He's not with anybody. He's not marking anybody. No. You know, you look the opposite side, and you look at Diaz. He's dominant. He's the one who's telling people. He's shouting at people. You know, you've got to have somebody what tells you what to do. It doesn't look like in the case for the 2 goals. He's pointless in being there.
What about the second goal then?
Well, watch Maguire then, and you'll have a bit of an idea. You've got to mark, and you know, balls into the box is a problem. Just watch here. If you get another angle in a minute, Maguire, keep your eye on him. Obviously, it's a strike. It falls to him at the edge of the box. Could he have done better with the clearance? Edge of the box, but there's nobody getting onto the ball. Just watch in a minute, Maguire. You'll see him there with the orange boots on. He's just watching the ball. He's not doing anything. He's not getting near anybody. Keep it on this angle. There he is, stood there. Watch. Keep an eye on him. Look, nowhere. He's running around. He's not doing anything. Who's marking who? Is it zonal? What are we doing here? Look, there you go. There's another angle for you. 2 or 3 of the players, to be honest with you. You know, can't they mark somebody? Can't you send somebody out to the edge of the box? Nobody's anywhere near anything at all there.
But Aaron, overall, when you look at Man United, either you see individually or you see defensively, they were a bit slow today. I think the more intense team was Man City all over the park, and you could see them, the body language, you know, technically the last pass, the final pass, just to cover the ground, just to be more aggressive, and you didn't feel that in every line of Man United. A little bit of Rashford in the first half, you know, when he had those diagonal run, but otherwise, you know, we didn't have a proper intense physical game from United. What we've seen recently against Villa, against the other team, and technically you would expect a Man City, but on the physical aspect and mental aspect, you would have thought that Man United would have been better at home, and because they needed more the final, but no.
Well, let me pick you up on that mental aspect, Didier. 4 semi-finals now in the season and a half for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer that United have been knocked out. This isn't happening by accident. There's a reason for this. What are they missing? They're so close to a final, yet they can't get there.
I don't know. It's an hard question, that. You know, this is the next stage. Okay, is it improving since Solskjaer's there? You'd have to say yes, with how well they're doing so far in the league. We don't know what it's going to be like at the end, but this is getting that first trophy. This is that Tottenham Hotspur type of thing. You know, you've got, once you get that might give the belief. After that, Manchester City have got the belief because domestically they've won titles, they've won this, they're very comfortable in this, but they've won the last 3. So they're more comfortable. Manchester United need to get over that hurdle where all of a sudden they get that first trophy, and that's it. But it was disappointing because of the form that both teams go in. Manchester United went into this game in better form. Home form was great as well, and you thought, you look at it now and you didn't expect that performance. You thought full of confidence, at home, giving a little bit more to Manchester City and causing more problems.
Is it as easy or simple as to say that they're not a cup side anymore, Manchester United? Because they could easily win the Premier League come the following week, and yet they're struggling in a cup, albeit getting to the final hurdle.
Yeah, the final hurdle is just the gap they have to close, and sometimes it's different. Today was there is a special thing in the cup, that's the spirit. You have to get it, and they didn't have it today in the League Cup. Semi-final of Europa League last year, they might deserve, but it was technically the last pass. So you could feel, you know, they were into the game and in the last third. So it's just a process, just to they close. They're still failing, but they will get there. You know, they will. They know what their mistake they've done. You know, they should have done much more intense. You know, today you can't play like that. You know, with all the quality you have. You know, the only way I sense had a bit of fight was Fernandes, but he was so frustrated. That all around him, you know, individually and collectively, they weren't ready. You know, we've seen Martial a couple of times. You know, it was the target man. Its first touch was away. Pogba wasn't there today. We expected more from those players because they can do more, and the spirit was in Man City. You could see the runs, the tackle, the aggressivity were there, and Man United no.
Well, if you've been watching our coverage, you would have. Richard Keys and Andy Gray do an in-depth analysis of Manchester United and penalties. Fairly free they've had since the start of last season. And tonight we saw Anthony Martial, who's won 7 of them, take a tumble.
I talk a lot about simulation because we understand as ex-footballers what these players do now, and they do try and kid the officials, and they get it a lot of the time. You know, this has to be, I think you make an example with this and you give a yellow card, and all of a sudden you make the example there, you'll stop all the diving for the rest of the game. But we do not see that. You know, we don't see it at all. These referees have got to do it. They're the ones that are in charge of the game. They're the ones that have got to let the flow go. So what they've tried to do there is cheat to get a decision at the end. Just stamp the authority down, say there's a yellow card, we're not having any of this. You know, that's what referees have to do, that.
It's yeah, I give credit to United. You know, they when they go offensively, they created a lot of penalty because they deserve most of them. So, but sometimes, yes, you make the most of it because there is a slight contact. But for me, that shouldn't be a penalty, because a penalty is when the contact. You go down because there is a real charge, and most of the time, you know, the players, they make the most of it, and it's difficult for the referees. It's quite tricky, you know. You can see there is a contact, but then they go down. That's like diving for me. Yeah. It's like diving for me. That's why you see for example, Man United in our times, you know, the Scholesy and Giggs, you know, they never go down, you know. Yeah. And I remember, you know, when Sir Alex Ferguson asked Ryan Giggs, why you don't go down sometimes, you know, when you get, I didn't say I don't go down.
Or Ronaldo,
like this is a matter of pride, but the game has changed a little bit, and I remember as well, you know, when Didier came to Drogba, came to the Premier League, and sometimes he tried to make the most of it. You know, he gets some sticks on every pitch in England. I remember Cristiano as well,
when he came,
making the most of it, and the United players team don't do that. So it has changed a little bit. We lost the spirit of the game. That's part of the game.
Yeah, but what they look at now is his contact. So they have to define that contact. Whether I go and kick him straight away or whether I touch him, he goes down. You've just been saying before, well, there's contact. So the players are just, when they go into the box, they're not interested in going past the defender, scoring in the top corner. They're waiting for that slight bit of contact and they're going down. So you have to come to terms with it, you know, and you have to realise when players are trying to kid you. You have to use your brain. When you look at a big, strong 6-foot guy and he goes down very quickly, you have to think about that and you have to look at every scenario. It's difficult with the officials, but they are trying to kid you. I can look at situations. I mean, they were talking the other day, it was the game for Arsenal when Tierney went down for the penalty, and it wasn't a penalty. He got in front of him and went down. So it came to Andy Gray and said it's a soft penalty. Well, that means it's not a penalty to me. I don't believe soft or whatever. It's either a penalty or it's not a penalty.
Well, if there is contact.
What's a soft penalty? Can you tell what that is?
Well, you tell me.
That means
what do you think?
That means you're not too sure whether it's a penalty or not. It's not a soft penalty. Means it ain't a penalty to me.
Well, let me rephrase it then. Intensity
What's a soft
of the contact?
penalty? It's either a penalty or not. Simple as that for me.
Well, if there's
it's contact. A soft one. It's one of them. What does that mean? We don't know if it is or it isn't.
I mean, it's one talking point, isn't it, of many. But the most important thing is, I guess, if you're a